If this is your first time listening to our podcast, welcome. Our programming brings a diversity of voices connected to Myanmar to share their perspectives, thoughts, and reflections about what has been happening there since the military coup in 2021. All of our guests share one thing in common, a deep personal stake in the ongoing crisis. And it is an honor for us to be able to bring their voices into your earbuds. But however difficult it may be to hear some of their stories, we hope that you will come away with a deeper and more nuanced understanding of what is happening there. For this episode of Insight Myanmar podcast, we're pleased to be joined by Evy, who is from Indonesia. And we're going to be going into her activism in Indonesia, which has then tapped into the wider Milk Tea Alliance, of which is very much impacting Myanmar now, looking at how local concerns in different Asian countries are actually regional and transnational concerns. So what Evy is doing in Indonesia is affecting the regional and nearby Southeast Asian countries as well, which is affecting Myanmar on Insight Myanmar podcast. So, Evy, thanks for coming to discuss your background and work in Indonesia.
Yes, thank you, Joa. I'm glad to be here. Yeah, okay. I actually want to start my activism background from early in my school days. I really like to write, and I think writing can transform the social change, but pushing change in our society. So I've been a student journalist since I was in high school, and I write a piece for a local newspaper, like schools corruption and violence against the students. And I think my writing, it can really changing the way society works. I mean, there's after I write about it, a case of school corruption, and then it's actually my school, but yeah, back then I investigated with anonymous with so my office is protect me so I can do the investigation. And after the news release, the school is really doing the works. The indication of corruption is they clarified it, and yeah, because it's about the building, they taking money for the building, and then after the news come out, the building is done and there's accountability from them, like that. So I really believe that writing can be so powerful, and I think that's where the seed of my activism go. And I do social projects, and I teach a child. When I'm in college, I'm joining the social community, and I teach we making the non-formal education for children that living in the riverbank. So yeah, we have fun with the children, we study, and trying to make the alternative education. And that's also reshaping my activism. And I think another milestone is when I I get graduate. When I get graduate from college, I joined this NGO that working on migrant workers, and that experience I work for that institution is like for 5 years, and the experience working with migrant workers, women migrant workers, and their family in the village is really changed my perspective. It's like also changing my life because I'm not learning about gender or feminism from many books or theories. I learned first from them, their stories. So I have this like writing assistant with ex-woman migrant workers, Indonesian women's migrant workers that go back to the village and build their community. I write their story, and their story really like a milestone also in my I I unlearn many things, I relearn many things, and I'm really grateful of that meeting the community, and also it's actually the seed for me to like having the consciousness of transnational or translocal solidarity, because migrant worker issue is like we're talking about borders, we're talking about not only human rights, there's very multi-dimension, and it's very complex actually, because the history of when Indonesia starts sending a migrant workers, the government, it is in the new order regime, and the ministry at that time called them like the hero for money to Indonesia, because at that times Indonesia is cannot rely more on the oil, so they send the migrant workers. So they calling them a hero, but actually they're really vulnerable because there's a mafia of trafficking, there's a forced migration, there's a marginalization, and so many things. And my organization back then is the office is actually a shelter, so we do like almost everything. We do we giving consultation, we do research, we do advocacy, policy advocacy, also legal aid, and the office is a shelter. So I often like talking with the victim, like having connection with them, and yeah, it's actually like it's very hard. It's very hard. My office is like not really big. It's just like national NGOs, but in a year we can like having 200 case that been handling with our organization itself. So I think it's so many. And when the COVID happening, there is so much work to do. I'm working in the data and publication division, and I like making a database of Indonesian migrant worker to and send them to the government, so the government can like send the aid to them that been in other countries or in their village, or their family in the village. It's quite like a hard, and you know COVID-19 is actually changing anything for me personally. I really like to meet people. I mean, go to the field, organize the community like by meeting them. But when COVID happened, I'm stuck with this data and this digital based advocacy, remote advocacy, etc. I'm getting so burnout at that times. But when Multi Alliance is coming to my life, when some of our friend at first it's not Multi Alliance. So at first it's like several NGOs in Indonesia, several pro democracy activists is like gather to having advocacy for Myanmar, having a solidarity from Indonesia for Myanmar, and then we began our Multi Alliance journey. When I did digital activism with Multi Alliance, I start to believe with digital activism. I really start to believe with digital activism because I feel genuine connection with all Multi Alliance friends. I mean, I'm working on I'm being an admin for the Twitter and another platform of social media, and every day we like tweeting about what's happening in Myanmar, and other Multi Alliance friends Twitter account like giving the retweet comments and etc. And I don't think it's performative because it was so massive. Even in Indonesia itself, we growing like the discourse is growing so fast and very intersectional because we growing like not only the pro democracy activists, but we invite artists, we invite even cyclists or any other community to having a solidarity too for our friends in Myanmar. So the first protest that we organized is Solidarity Night in front of ASEAN Secretariat, and it was really powerful because at that times in Indonesia, the restriction of COVID, it's really like hard. No one can get into the street in Jakarta. There's like city isolation like that. But we organize. Actually, there's just some of the maybe 10 or 20 of us going to have a protest in front of ASEAN Secretariat, but there is like maybe multiple of our like 20 more journalists come there to like see what we did, to see what our statement and others what touching me is also there's our Papua friends that come to give their solidarity to our friends in Myanmar because they have a similarity. They have the relevancy about what's happening in Papua. Also, there's also genocide, police brutality, and anything happen also in Papua. So our Papua friends is standing with us in front of ASEAN Secretariat to have a solidarity night for our friends in Myanmar. I print like a poster of every activist that been died at first. The COP is February 2021. I print all of the picture and we like having a cry for them, and every activist giving their speech, and I think it's really genuine. It's really like hopeful to me. I believe there will be a spring revolution in Asia, and I believe that people will win. And yeah, that's the first time we start the solidarity action for Myanmar. And after that, when the dictators come to Indonesia for ASEAN's meeting, before ASEAN summit, there's some general meeting within the Asian leaders. We organized also a protest, but this is because we get so many terror from the police because of the first protest because it's restricted and etc etc. So the second protest we organize it with bike, so bicycle. We make hashtag bike for Myanmar, bike for revolution, and all the activists is bring their bike, and we like bike around the city, and it's not only activists, it's also bicycle communities, bike communities that they're joining us, students and etc. There's so many bike, and we're riding around the city to show our solidarity to Myanmar and protest the dictators come to our country, and um, we and others military alliance is saying that wow, Indonesia is really sporty. You do bike for protest, but actually we're biking because it's more like yeah, it's more flexible, because when the police like want to stop us, we can like just cycling around and split. It's very easy to split, and yeah, it's very fun, but it's very meaningful for me and for Military Alliance Indonesia, um, and also it's means for a transnational solidarity too. And other than that, the first protest and the second protest was biking, and then we also do like raising awareness with the zines and the anarchist merchandise, having wider collaboration with artists, illustrator, and also like rapper, musician. We do we produce so many artwork and art piece to raising the awareness in Indonesia and to express our solidarity for what's happening in Myanmar, and then also not only Myanmar but also what's happening in Thailand, what's happening in Hong Kong, what's happening in Thailand. So yeah, that's how Military Alliance Indonesia is growing.
That's beautiful. Thank you. It's really incredible to hear about the response and the activism that you've had in all throughout Indonesia to ASEAN. Even it sounds like putting yourself at risk in terms of having to be mobile to escape Indonesian police as you're protesting ASEAN policies and making clear that that you and your friends and comrades in Indonesia are not standing for what your brothers and sisters in Myanmar are suffering through, and going and making your voices known. And I think what this also points to, and what's so fascinating about Milk Tea Alliance, is that you're making these transnational connections. And even though the situation in each country is slightly different in terms of the politics and society and history and everything else, there is, I want to quote from something that I think it might have been you that said a few days ago when we were together with other Milk Tea Alliance friends. You said something like, the thing that connects us all is we all hate our governments.
Yeah.
And that was, and as humorous that is in one degree, it also points to this, I'm sure, this abiding frustration of authoritarianism, whether it's the monarchy or the military dictatorship or some other form of non-democratic rule that is also infringing on human rights and having different particular issues in the respective countries based on the context of what's happening there. But you do have this kind of cat and mouse game of the authoritarian, dictatorial regimes sharing secrets with each other of how to better oppress their people, and then the grassroots from each of these countries as well aligning in solidarity, not in any kind of nationalist bent against their own, waging their own histories against each other as the dictators might like them to do, but in being able to share strategies and motivation and morale and solidarity and have campaigns and events that share across those borders.
I think that's why we make the Dictator's Playbook. Me and other multi-alliance friends from Taiwan, DW, and Brian, having this last past year, we've been like discussing about how to build a knowledge hub to our resistance and movement. So Brian making a website, TW making a multi podcast. I make a zine club in Indonesia. I think one of interesting and also answering your question is the first zine club that I made with my friends in Indonesia is just after the election. And you know who's the winner of Indonesian election? It's Prabowo. Prabowo is the man that killed activists in 98. And yeah, he's really connected to the previous dictator. 32 years Indonesia in the new order regime, suffering no democracy, no freedom of expression at all, no politics at all. And this guy is winning the election with his cute campaigns, and I don't know that cute campaigns can like brainwash all the people to see him not as a killer but as a cute uncle. That's crazy. That's what TikTok does to our perception. And I met the Zine Club just after the election with some of the activists that working in various sectors like women activists, activists that working on education and youth-led organization, etc. So many of them working on different field. We gather together and we have this term, collective grief. And when we say collective grief, all of us is agree that our collective grief is Prabowo is being elected. So there's when we imagine like the future of our country, I don't think we can imagine something like utopia. It's almost dystopic to imagine the future because even he's not being like officially the president, but there's so many law that been revised and it's really like threatening our civil society because like like the revision of police law, they make the police can shutting down our internet, and also the revision of broadcasting law, they not allowing the investigation investigative journalism, they not allowing it to do independently, so they must be approved by the government. How can it be approved? I mean, like, only investigative journalism can do like showing us the corruption that been done by the government. Only investigative journalism can do showing us what's happening in the grassroots, where there are many activists in the grassroots that been harassed, killing, and because they are not really high profile, they voice oftenly not heard. We even not hear like the news or anything, but only investigative journalism can do that. But the revision of the broadcasting law make government can like disapprove it or censor it. It's really crazy. It's really crazy when the journalistic itself like thriving because of the capitalism and etc. And government is want to make this watchdog watchdogs system. Our peer our journalists in the people side is they just want to shutting all. So it's kind of crazy for what's happening in Indonesia. And yeah, that's the collective grief from Indonesia. And the Dictator's Playbook is actually like exactly what you said about, because we have this concern about how our the dictators in every country in ASEAN is like having 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 a collaboration. I mean, that's really fuck. Um, we always saying and focusing on how we help each other in people to people in the grassroots, but how the dictator like supporting each other to like crushing the democracy in Asia is really crazy. Like what's happening in Myanmar. Before Prabowo elected to be the president, he's actually a Ministry of Defense in Indonesia, and there's a report that saying the the what is it, alutsista, the gun and weapon is can be from Indonesia. From there's like the indication of yeah, maybe Ministry of Defense is like having a role to support the gun circulate to in Myanmar like that.
So you're saying that there's a report that small arms are coming from Indonesia to the Myanmar regime, military regime?
Yeah. And we did actually Military Alliance with Contrast and others civil society organization is actually released a statement about that. Just like I forget is when it is exactly, but I think earlier this year. So Dictator Playbook is just like that. We make that into our website and our and zines too. So we can say that make the imagination is more clearer, because it's really happening. It's really happening one by one. Countries in Asia is like having these dictators rising again.
That's really scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you sometimes feel like you're on the front line trying to dispel this darkness that is risking coming to take over the region, and you're trying to I mean, this is a real thing. This is not human history has shown us that the whatever freedoms and human rights that we have in whatever form, that these can be swept away by real brutal and evil regimes that can and do come along, and that we are seeing across Southeast Asia. And we can mention the wider world as well, even the Western world, even in my country, we're seeing signs of this. But to stay in the Southeast Asian region, we are seeing this this fight right now for freedoms against dictatorial authoritarianism. And it seems to me like you guys are on the front lines of that battle.
Yeah, the front lines. I want to add something about what linking us to this movement and resistance. It's also in history. So one time I make this campaign with Military Alliance Indonesia. The hashtag is kita pernah kayak gini, or in English it's like we've been there before. to raising awareness about what's happening in Asia, especially in Myanmar, is actually happening also in Indonesia right now, in Papua. But in our history, in New Order regime, the Reformation 1919 Act, or before 1998, the genocide to Communist Party in 1965, if is actually been talking about so much right now by the youth in Indonesia. So I think there's I just want to spark some hope beside the darkness that happening in the Dictator playbook. That I think the youth is now like becoming they want to write their own history. I mean, we want to interpret our history, like even when I'm in school, in school, there's still a propaganda that been into the education about the history. So like for example, the genocide in 1965 is being like not the government fault. I mean, it's all communist party fault, like that. But they're still writing like that in the history book that obviously released by the government. But I think the interpretation, the imagination from our youth is changing so much, and it's also working for the Asia Asia scoops. And I think everyone now want to reinterpret our history, like like that. About youth being a frontline of this fighting or this movement, I think it's really important because we've now like centering the collective care. I think we've now centering the collective care in our movement to make like this is not individual fighting. This is not like only this is not like the countries in Asia is like separated from each other. It's not like that. This is like humanity without borders. This is a solidarity without borders, like that. So centering the collective care is, I think, also like protect the movement, protect the youth, and keep the solidarity alive, keep the hope alive. And also the way we imaginate our tactics is important as the front line of this fighting our movement, because with more creative tactics, the government will be like confused. What does that mean? Like we also write that on Mercy Alliance Playbook. So Dictator's Playbook is like how the dictator mind's playing and coordinating with anything that's we write about, or what is happening in dictator mind in each country, like that. But Allen's Playbook is what is our resistance, what is our tactics to against that. So it's very creative, it's very imaginative, it's really fun. I think fun, we should like putting fun too in the center of activism, because with that fun there will be like very pessimist, very negative, and it cannot be our fault to like running this movement, right? So what's in Milky Alliance Playbook is like we documented this the creative tactics from like skid protests. Skid protests that there's the protester is just like running like a hamster, running like run. So the police is like yeah, confusing what is happening here. Or when the protester using a dark balloon that we usually use in the pool to like keeping them safe from the tear gas, like that. So yeah, that's also important to centering the collective care and to centering the fun, the creativity, and also we see internet as a alternative future. But internet is very vulnerable right now because the yeah some government rules the internet right now, like limiting them or etc etc. And also there's a possibility in Indonesia that the government will really like taking more laws to the internet too, but I think there's still space for our resistance and movement that can be like growing in the internet. So internet is the alternative future.
I want to hit on this theme that you mentioned of fun and creativity, because I think that it's very easy to get lost in the darkness, the fear, the danger, and the stakes, the high stakes of what you're doing on these front lines, and to bypass this fun part of it. That I think you can hear, you can imagine a voice saying, "What's so fun about this? This is history on the line. This is extremely serious and heavy and should be treated as such." And yet, Milk Tea Alliance does the creative forms of expression, the innovation, the pure fun and joy of some of the ways that is expressed, in some ways are going against this expectation that no, this is serious business. We need to figure out how to resist this dark pool of these dictators. There's nothing fun about it. Our lives are our lives and the lives of our community are on the line for possibly this generation and upcoming generations. We need to focus, and where is fun in that? And yet the fun and the creativity, they explode with what Milk Tea does, the campaigns, the music, the dance, the videos, multimedia, the memes, etc. That they're, and to say nothing of the live protests or performance art or other things. And so how did this sense of the importance of fun come to be a central part in terms of driving the campaigns that you're doing and the work that you're taking part of?
Actually, we put that fun, creativity, and imagination in center of our movement because to transform that darkness, to transform the grief that we already have because of the what's happening in Asia right now. We transform with the creativity, with the fun, with the imagination. We want to transform it into our power, people power, youth power, like that. So we have this term in Milk Tea Alliance, like Milk Tea Alliance is cooking something. It's the way we choose, actually the way we choose word, the way we choose, statement is not like the way we choose to making a statement is it's not like what's NGOs work, like you writing a statement that very structure and systemized, and there's a demand of the statement. The statement, but I think in this the usual business is usual, but Milk Tea a statement, it can be like very like we can make meme, we can make comic to it, we can make a song. There's a collaboration, there's a collective called Rap Against Junta that been they release their albums for the Myanmar, and one of the song from the first album is Dictator Must Die, and the artist is from Indonesia, from Thailand, from Myanmar, is rapping and saying Dictator must die. And one of the artists from Indonesia, the name is Tuan 13 and Ransom, is putting the lyrics saying also about Papua. So we can have this transnational solidarity even with the music. And music is a universal language, right? And that's just one collective one album that I say, but there's so many like in here in Thailand, there's I think a concert that been dedicated to Myanmar, a solidarity concert of We Are Friends. There's a song named We Are Friends that dedicated, like it's like an anthem, a solidarity for Myanmar, and it's very beautiful. And yes, something like that, to combine the art with the message, I think can also be powerful and massive. And because sometimes when we want to gaining like people's powers, we cannot gaining it with like with a very hard language like diplomacy or anything. We should like reach people's heart with something more something genuine and easy and soft like that. So I think that's how the art and the creativity, imagination, and fun working in our movement to like articulating what is our voice, and to reach others people's hearts and willingness to join this movement too. I think that's
Another thing that strikes me about Milk Tea Alliance, and also just the Dictator's Playbook, as you mentioned, in the contemporary times that we're living in, is the lines that are forming and separating. They seem very non-conventional to what we've seen historically. So, for example, historically, you would see these lines built on nationalism, on ethnic or community or religious, some kind of identity that were really top down, were really being harnessed of us against them, them against us, in terms of how we have to engage. But what we see with the Dictator's Playbook, on one hand, is that whatever form of authoritarian regime is happening in the respective Southeast Asian countries, whatever resistance to democracy is taking place, they are not really harnessing to, sometimes rifts do happen, of course, different tensions that will develop between Southeast Asian neighbors, but largely they're sharing, they're helping each other stay in power and helping each other learn how to better oppress their people and exploit them. And then on the side of Milk Tea, you have this generation of activists that are coming from obviously different countries, but different religions, different ethnic groups, different languages, completely different backgrounds. And there's no sense of being organized of my label against your label, which is traditionally, historically, how dictators often stay in power, is saying these people, whether they're minorities in our country or these people over the next border, they are threatening our way of life. They are a danger and a risk, and our violence is justified, our oppression is justified in order to be able to protect you. This is the message that's happening. But what you're describing seems to be going against this very much, both at the top level and at the grassroots level, that there's no sense of when a problem or a struggle is happening in a neighboring country, let's say Myanmar, because it's the perfect example, and migrants start flowing into especially Thailand and India and other countries as well, there's no sense among those young people that, oh, we have to discriminate against these Burmese and find ways to protect ourselves. Certainly, those nationalist sentiments are happening in neighboring countries. Not to say they're not happening, but there's also a tremendous voice and support saying that they are like us, and we could find ourselves in that situation here. We need to welcome them. We need to protect them. We need to rise against what they're trying to fight for and to fight against and to establish. And these are not being drawn among the lines that we often see of nation, religion, ethnicity, language, etc. So this also stands out as something remarkable to this moment.
Yeah. I think to add it about that, we can see the latest yeah, it's also early this year. It's happening discrimination and a protest towards Rohingya refugees in Indonesia, in Aceh regions. It's very bad, and we're running this campaign, refugees welcome, to like raising the awareness, because it doesn't make sense. They like, even like yeah, Aceh is we if we talk about Indonesia, we should not like forget it. Indonesia is like one of the largest Muslim countries, and Muslim is been a political identity that been like playing around this past few years, so massive. Even it's really like taking part in our president election and others things happening in Indonesia. So yeah, Rohingya conflict in Myanmar is about the religion and etc. But when the refugees come to Aceh, there's also gaining this discrimination from local peoples. It's really crazy, and we really not it's really bad, and we like gathering all the people to having this counter narrative into that discrimination, because the discrimination is also like happening in the internet. So there are some groups that and there is some hashtag like anti-Rohingya and etc. that's happening in Indonesia. So we're trying to make this counter narrative to that discrimination agenda, to welcoming the refugees, because I say about humanity without border, humanity, solidarity without border, because we should really rethinking about nationalism. And I think Indonesia is really like having a problematic nationalism, even in our history, like the geopolitics of Indonesia is like always having this opportunity, always like the opportunities countries. Also in the multi-alien groups, when we have this like weekly check-in, and we update about what's happening in Indonesia, it looks like Indonesia is all right in rather than any other country, but
Right,
actually
yeah.
it's not. It's really not all right, and I really scared that most people in Indonesia have this kind of toxic nationalism that may be closer to fascism.
I see.
Yeah, that we there's a war. What are we fighting is also like we fighting against the fascism, and that toxic nationality, I think, something that we concern too, and we want to decolonize that. We want to like back to my last statement about there's no border, and there is also we should be like I think unlearning so many things about our history and our resistance.
I think one thing I'm wondering too is that, and this kind of goes back into the idea of fun, I'm linking it to, is that there's not one country that really represents a kind of beacon of hope that I think the movement can build upon. I think there are many slivers of hopes in all countries, even Myanmar, maybe even especially Myanmar, but there's not one country that's like, well, they're getting it right. They're on the right track. Indonesia, Philippines, and Thailand are probably held as countries that one would like to hope they could find a way to put it together. But there is certainly you would be foolish to hold up those countries as paradigms of real democracy in the region. And so I wonder, with the work that you're doing and the investment that you have, the campaigns that you're running, and this is also where this sense of fun plays into it, because it's keeping your spirits alive, it's keeping your morale up. But are you optimistic? Do you feel that you're making momentum, even in some small way, in some region, some place in Southeast Asia that is showing some possibility of positive change or transformation, which could be built upon? Or do you sometimes feel like there's a rising tide and you're in a little raft?
Yeah, there always be a time that I've been pessimist about everything. It's really hard because beside my activism, I should have like survived myself too and survive from this. I'm not coming from a privileged family or anything.
Sure.
I growing up with my mom living like we should be survive day to day, and
Mm,
has like a family and all just women, just two of us against the world,
mm,
is also really hard to like because there's so many stereotypes, there's so many like um terror of violence and etc. I remember one time I got an interview about what is the greatest authoritarianism that happening in your life. I think born as a woman, and I see my mom is struggling so hard to raise me as a single parents, and we're living in terror of like yeah, marginalization and also like the violence and etc. I think that will be my first experience of authoritarianism, because I always scared. And also that's one point that can like make me go to this hall and chain of hopelessness and pessimism and darkness and etc. And
mm,
that's one side of my life. And there's other side of activism. Yeah, there's a time that um I think I really already pushing myself. I already like okay, no sleep, no life, no like enjoying life at all. I just there's a lot thing to do, like pushing myself to the
mm,
to the
yeah,
like to the limit.
yeah.
But that just make it worsen. And I think it's more easier to become like that, to become burnout, to become exploited, to become scary, fear, and etc. It's more easier than to becoming hopeful, to becoming optimist, to becoming fearless, and etc. etc. So uh right now I don't because I passed that uh that period in my experience. I don't want to focus on the dark side. I want to focus other side. That's why I think how we create why it's also important to documenting, to like showcasing, to like write a story, tell a story about how our movement and resistance survive, is also important to create that hope, to create that yeah, the government is sucks. There's a very dark future maybe ahead us, but in other sides, like there's a small community in very remote area that working towards the democracy for their village, for or there's a little community that making yeah making they making a system that they can like thriving from the capitalism and living independently, peacefully, like that. So I really want to like focus make it like just balance, like sometimes yeah you can collect the grief, you can collect the pain, the darkness, but it's also you should be like process it. Sometimes we not uh sometimes we cannot like process it to make it to transform it to the more meaningful activism to give us hope. uh the way we process it need a community, need a collective. It cannot be done by yourself, your individual self. Yeah, maybe someone can, but for my experience, I cannot do that without my community. That's why that's why and it actually not only on Military Alliance activism, but also outside outside the Military Alliance, I also like joining the workers union, um called, the name is Sindikasi. Sindikasi is like media and creative industry workers union for democracy. Most of us is a freelancers. So I because I am a freelancer too. With this community, with these unions, I feel I always said that it's a like collective healing, collective yeah collective cares, because we if we fight alone, it will becoming more harder and more easier to become pessimist. But if we working it together, I think what fight it is like democracy fight, survival fight for your daily life. If you working it together, uh, you can be hopeful and you can survive it and make it. So yeah, I still believe about people will win in our democracy fight, of course. And I still believe that yeah, also workers will win in our daily life, fighting the needs of money, etc., like that.
Great. I want to bring in Myanmar into this discussion and the role, the outsized role, I should say, that I believe Myanmar is playing, not just in the potential destabilization of the entire region, but also the center of gravity that Myanmar represents to the entire Milk Tea Alliance structure. Because I think the extremes of both the light and the dark are existing right now in Myanmar. I think the extremity of absolute depravity and violence and brutality and real evil, if we could use that word, on full display in broad daylight, and exploitation is on display in terms of what the military is doing and trying to do to cement their hold, as is the idealism and collaboration, sacrifice, solidarity, resilience innovation of the Burmese activist protesters' resistance. And so I think that the battlegrounds of Myanmar are like this highest stake possible version of the entire region, and perhaps reflecting a mirror to the potentialities of how things could develop in neighboring countries to some extent, a possible, but one would hope not, preview of various iterations, as well as the fact that we have to say it's not like these other Southeast Asian nations are these paradigms of great democracies and human rights, and Myanmar is the country disintegrating. It's been commented on by many observers that one of the reasons that ASEAN might not be so involved in trying to help Myanmar is that they don't really have their side of the street all too clean either. And it's kind of hard to, Myanmar is the extreme version of that, but it's kind of hard to insist on some kind of getting back to some kind of line when they all enjoy privileges that they would rather not shine that light onto. And so can you describe your feeling of just the position that the situation in Myanmar is having on the region, and particularly on Milk Tea Alliance as well?
Okay, so I think I see Myanmar um just last February we do this movie screening, Myanmar from Myanmar filmmaker. Um, it's it's like the omnibus movie, so there's so many short movie that come together. The title is Broken Dreams, and from that movie screenings, there's our collective friends in Indonesia called Project Decolonial, or Decolonial Project, is writing a review after the movie screening. They say Myanmar is close from Indonesia geographically, but it seems so far because what's happening in Myanmar is not like actually massive talking in Indonesia. Maybe it's not like what what's happening here in Thailand. It's because it's really close, like a border with the Myanmar, but they express from that movie screening, they express that. And I think from what I did with Mercy Alliance Indonesia, and with my activism, I see Myanmar is like a hope for us. I mean, the resistance of the people in Myanmar, the diaspora, is really like I cannot say it's their experience. I cannot experiencing it, but just like join in this movement is actually they give me like connection to them. And even I'm never like Milky Aliens. I never been meet all of the Milky Alien friends at all. On offline, we just like meeting online discussion and etc etc. But I think what made me like believe in this resistance and this movement is because of it. I don't know, it's very abstract. It's very abstract, but it stay in my heart, in my gut, so that I will keep fighting. I will not stop until our friends in Myanmar is free, like that. I think what does solidarity mean? The solidarity mean it's not like if I did this to you, you need to did that too to me. It's not transactional like that. Solidarity is a very beautiful process. I think that contains our experience, our feeling, our knowledge, and everything, and we express it with with action, with do something, organizing, doing it like with your community. So I wanna add it to like since 2021, because it become a more cross-cutting issue too, like when the workers is going to the street for May Day. They also bringing the poster of solidarity with Myanmar there. So there's no, so what's happening in Myanmar, the solidarity that weaving between this what's happening is not only on like democracy issue or democracy bubble or cycle, but also in like the solidarity between the workers, the solidarity between the woman movement and etc. is like weaving all together. It's scattered, but it's like one cell to one cell, and it will become a really nice what weapon. Yeah.
What also strikes me is that there's this expression in English that the darkest hour is before the light. And I think that the situation that's devolved in Myanmar is so tragic and so awful and so scary. And yet the military is not winning. It's been well over 3 years. They're not winning. Most analysts don't really see a strong pathway for them to victory. And if the people, with against all odds and with the extraordinary diversity that you find within Myanmar, if they were to continue to topple this military, and then after the military is toppled, find a way to have a representative federal democracy with local governance structures and protections for people of all different backgrounds, diversity, etc., in that region, then this is reflecting back to what was said just a little bit ago in our talk of in Southeast Asia, where is the country or the party or the government that we can point to as something that is positive, that we can at least try to build upon, that is at least we have some hope that's going on the right track. It is remarkable to think that with all the carnage and awfulness happening in Myanmar, if they're able to turn this corner, then this has the potential to go from being the destabilizing factor in Southeast Asia to the bright, shining gem of possibility that can go to ignite the movements transnationally in all these other countries. So talk about the feeling if Myanmar is able to turn that corner. This is no small understatement of what this would mean, but if they were able to turn this corner of toppling the military and then not devolving into factionalism and ethnic conflict, but actually roughly messy, as happens in all parts of the world, even in the West, start to build start to put together the building blocks of what it means to have a federal democracy. What would that mean for Indonesia? What would it mean for Milk Tea Alliance? What would it mean for the region?
Yeah, it will mean everything. I mean, like we've been doing this together for Myanmar. It's like for 3 years, and I had more. So when Myanmar wins, the people of Myanmar win, it's our winning too.
Yeah.
And it's actually will very meaningful. I mean, for other country in Asia, because maybe what's happening in other countries will be different. Like in Indonesia, the milestone of the democracy, I think right now everyone will see that you are right, but yeah, we don't know ahead what will happen, and if and I actually believe if there's one winning, one rising
Hmm.
of people powers and democracy, I think it will become like a like every other country too will we have that spirit, that civil society spirit,
Hmm.
to like, yeah, we can rise against the dictatorship. We can like um prevent our democracy intoxicate with the with that dictatorship. And we have this like very playful like what is it, uh term or something. We say that sip a milk tea a day can get the dictators away.
Hmm.
It should be a doctor's away, but it's a dictator's away. So um milk tea alliance is also believe is we also recognize a small winning, a small progress is also progress towards the movement. So if Myanmar is finally can get down the dictators, I think the spirits will be like for Asia. Mm.
I think also one has to say that if you can do it in Myanmar, you could do it anywhere. I mean, come on. If you're looking at the strength of this military, their brutality, the lack of support that they've gotten from all directions, the complex ethnic history and tensions that have developed there. And I think for anyone in the region who knows anything about Myanmar history and contemporary issues, if you can do this in Myanmar, you really can do it anywhere. You really don't have an excuse in any other country to. And this also contrasts with this pessimism we talked about earlier, this
Yeah.
feeling of hopelessness sometimes of like, where's the example? Like, where's the thing you can hold on to? At least over here, they're doing this. At least over there, there's some sign of, of this, how quickly things change, where you can look at if they are able to turn this corner, wherever you are in the region, you simply cannot say, well, the odds are stacked against us, because the stakes, the how high the stakes are, how difficult the situation is, the resilience that's needed, and the odds that are that they are facing are far and away something so extreme that one simply has to just to give the nod of what they've been able to do and realize if it can happen there, it can happen anywhere in the region. So that has to be something that is held on to.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. So we're really like working on that. um we will never stop until it's what you say is also relevant. And um I think, yeah, we should not stop. Even there's a possibility. We should not stop. We should stay aware. Because you know, regime can like raising just a night for from what history taught us. The coup and etc. can happening just like a night without we even know it. So we should be aware, keep the hub light up, but uh, we should be like very concerned or of others thing that might happen, and keep the solidarity like stronger and better, and centering the collective care and the fun and the creativity and the imagination, so we can all can have like protect each other. Because uh, you say it that we are in the forefront of this movement, so it's important to like taking care of each other.
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, I think the fighting is like will be like I don't know, it is there's no timeline for a fight, right? there's no retired activist. I don't think there is. It's like a long life commitment. It's a lifetime commitment, right? Um, and is it not scary to me? It's not it is not like burden to me, but it's actually transformed me. The way I see everything, like friendship, family, collective, community, is really different right now. And the way I see how the world's working, how the um yeah, it's just very different, and I really glad that I met to this point. I mean, if I'm not like going into this kind of activism, I think I can be like having a very I don't know, like just alive, working, and having a family, and etc. etc. But uh, I think that's just not my that's not my battle. Um, I choose this path because it's like the accumulation of what I experienced, that I already told you about how I struggling to growing up as a woman and privileged, and it makes me like um more. And I have this military background in my family, actually.
I see.
So my grandfather, the two of my grandfather is a military, and they are like they working when there's in new order regime. There's several moment there's a several like killings that happening in new order regime to the activists and to common people. That actually my grandfather did that. And I'm study history before. I'm study history in college, and there's a subject of military history. And I have this a research paper that I must do, and I do interview with my grandfathers, and I see him like telling a story about the killings and etc. And for them, it's just a comment. It's not like it's not like a violent for them, and I think it's really scary and crazy. And maybe because of that that experience also make me like I can not I mean, sometimes we need yeah, I recognize that sometimes we need a violence in our resistance. But for now, I think what I want to do with my life is like keeping this non-violence movement, keeping this non-violence effort to like making making I don't know. It will be very cringe if I say the world's better or the society better. It will be very cringe, but um, I do, I do what why I did that yet? That because I think that is my hope. So yeah, I think that's why accumulation of my experience of my what's happening also in my life is shaping me into this path, and I not even a second regret this. I'm really happy that I'm being connected with all other friends in this movement. I'm really happy that um that even when I yeah um always there's always like a threat to us or um terror to us or anything, but I know I have my friends. I know we have each other, and this is not only me in this fight. So that's what fooled me.
I think what's also beautiful about what you say is you're touching upon a reciprocal relationship, that this is not just a case of, well, Myanmar's going through hell, and so we just have to pity it and help it, and we have a responsibility to stand by and just give to them. But no, this is a two-way relationship, and this is like with a person going through a traumatic experience. You're not just giving to them and they're taking, but even in those situations, there's this reciprocal way of being able to open up, to share, to learn, to grow in those moments, and what that means to you. And I think that in addition to the innovative resilience that the Burmese are showing to the world, and especially to the region where it's very relevant, there's also this issue, going back to what we said a little bit ago, that if this can happen in Myanmar, can happen everywhere. There will be celebrations among activist communities and progressive communities all over Southeast Asia for what this shows as a possibility. I think wishing for the victory of the Burmese people is, in that sense, not a sign of just wishing well for them, but it's actually a very healthy, selfish desire. It's a very healthy, selfish desire to see that if you can carry this struggle on your own backs and weather this burden and come out successfully, we are going to be the beneficiaries in so many different ways. And so wishing for that success, helping that success, standing and supporting in whatever ways that you can do to help build that wave against these awful authoritarians, this is their victory is going to be your victory.
Yeah, of course. Of course, as I said before, it's very feminist actually. One of the quotes from feminist figure is like, if other woman's not free, then I'm not free too. I think that's really shaping my activism too. And also like, I forget who's the one said it, but when I start become a journalist in schools, I believe that I am not important, but the story is. So I am really not important. What the important is, the movement is going.
Yeah.
What important is like the spirit in youth that willing to do this genuine activism. I think that's what's important, and I really want that desire that I have, it can be like a replicate or transferring to others. So we can have like this mutual desire for freedom.
Yeah, and I think that's what your story is doing. And I really love that you've just, as we've come to the end of our talk, you have naturally just segued it back to the beginning, and you've done my work for me, and in being able to connect being on the front lines of a battle with darkness and a hopeful turning of the corner with your student days of sitting down to type up an article about corruption in the school and it leading to this, and then also connecting that to whatever listeners are out here that can hear your story. You're not coming from a privileged background, and where things have been laid out for you. You've had to manage the difficulties in your own life and society while also transcending and rising above that to be able to care beyond about something about greater issues. And so also someone listening can realize, well, what can I do? How can I make a difference in those ways that matter to me and those injustices that I see around the world? And whether it's, however, in whatever form it starts, and then it starts to crescendo with a momentum that does sweep away. So that's a really beautiful reflection to leave with our audience.
I really enjoy talking to you because sometimes what we do in the activism is not only about the issue or the concept or the theory or anything. Sometimes it's all about our feeling.
Yeah.
It's all about our love to life and our love to others. I think I'm not yet saying enough love in this podcast, so I want to like make sure I'm saying love is a radical act in this moment, because yeah, with it's also actually answering your question before about transform the darkness, and we process it with the community, and the community itself like have giving in and giving out love, so we can learn, we can grow, we can yeah, I think we should like at some point not we can stop being resilient at some point. We can stay we can have we can stop, we can like sometimes we can like taking care of each other is also like a pause button. We can push the pause button, and yeah, that is love. I think love is can radicalize you. If you go with the path of love, I think the power of love is like limitless, and it can like very wild. So yeah, don't forget to loving yourself and loving others. Spread love.
Many of you are quite familiar with our nonprofit, Better Burma, which was formed in the weeks following the military coup and carries out humanitarian missions around the country. But did you know that we also have a shop that carries handicrafts sourced from artisan communities throughout Myanmar? We take great pride in all of our products being 100% Myanmar made, from the materials to the design to the workmanship. From the Thanaka artfully incorporated on the dolls' faces to the cats and frogs wearing scarves made of traditional Lungji fabric, they all clearly show they were made in the Golden Land. So your gift will bring a little bit of authentic Myanmar into the home of its recipient, and even if just a little, will help keep the people and culture alive in our hearts. And most importantly, your purchase will not only support the livelihood of the artisans, but also help fund our wider humanitarian and media missions. Please take a moment to visit our shop at alokacrafts.com. That's Aloka, A-L-O-K-A, crafts, C-R-A-F-T-S, one word.com. Of course, as is your preference, you can also consider making a donation through our normal channels. If you would like to join in our mission to support those in Myanmar who are being impacted by the military coup, we welcome your contribution in any form, currency, or transfer method. Your donation will go on to support a wide range of humanitarian and media missions, aiding those local communities who need it most. Donations are directed to such causes as the Civil Disobedience Movement, CDM, families of deceased victims, internally displaced person IDP camps, food for impoverished communities, military defection campaigns, undercover journalists, refugee camps, monasteries and nunneries, education initiatives, the purchasing of protective equipment and medical supplies, COVID relief, and more. We also make sure that our donation fund supports a diverse range of religious and ethnic groups across the country. We invite you to visit our website to learn more about past projects, as well as upcoming needs. You can give a general donation or earmark your contribution to a specific activity or project you would like to support, perhaps even something you heard about in this very episode. All of this humanitarian work is carried out by our nonprofit mission, Better Burma. Any donation you give on our Insight Myanmar website is directed towards this fund. Alternatively, you can also visit the Better Burma website, betterburma.org, and donate directly there. In either case, your donation goes to the same cause, and both websites accept credit card. You can also give via PayPal by going to paypal.me/betterburma. Additionally, we can take donations through Patreon, Venmo, GoFundMe, and Cash App. Simply search Better Burma on each platform and you'll find our account. You can also visit either website for specific links to these respective accounts or email us at info@betterburma.org. That's Better Burma, one word, spelled BETTERBURMA.org. If you would like to give it another way, please contact us. We also invite you to check out our range of handicrafts that are sourced from vulnerable artisan communities across Myanmar, available at alokacrafts.com. Any purchase will not only support these artisan communities, but also our nonprofit's wider mission. That's Aloka Crafts, spelled ALOKACRAFTS, one word, alokacrafts.com. Thank you so much for your kind consideration and support.
Oba yarananda dayananga yaranaya dayanam boda yaranam